Michael arrived home at 6:25 a.m. after returning from a weekend business trip. He didn't want to wake his wife and kids, so he quietly sat in the living room watching TV. While waiting for his family to rise, he received a text from his wife, Jane. It said, "Thanks for staying over, babe. I love sleeping next to you." That was odd. Michael hadn't been home last night, but he didn't respond, thinking that Jane had returned to sleep without realizing she had accidentally texted him. He decided to go to work that day without confronting her so he could think about what to say instead of coming in hot without a plan. While he was at work, Jane messaged clarifying that the text was meant for her friend Esther, who had apparently stayed over and left 15 minutes before Michael had returned. He considered the text could be innocent, but he'd never heard Jane call anyone babe except for him. He also considered that, subconsciously, his wife was trying to tell him she had done something terrible. Michael went to dinner with one of his work colleagues and wasn't home until late. He didn't say a word to Jane when he came to bed, but he brought it up the next day. He pointed out that he was surprised that she would use such familiar language with a friend. Jane must have been racked with guilt because she nearly immediately broke down and admitted that she had Esther and her ex-boyfriend Will over while Michael was on his business trip. Furthermore, she confessed that it wasn't the first time either. Michael could not believe what was happening. A hazy fog of disbelief settled onto his mind. Up until that moment, his life had been perfect. He had a quiet nuclear family with 2 kids, a dog, and a 4-bedroom house in the suburbs. Jane continued to spill forth details of her affair. It was like a dam had burst within her, and she couldn't hold back. She had gone with Will to an expensive hotel on the beach nearby to eat at an award-winning restaurant Michael had introduced her to on their anniversary the year before. She also revealed that she was interested in the swinger lifestyle and had already been to swinger clubs with Will and Esther. Jane wanted to keep their marriage together, but at the same time, she wanted to keep her lover. Michael said he needed time to process everything and decide whether he wanted to separate. During the week, Michael continued to discuss what happened with his wife and dig for more details. During one of the discussions about Will, things turned ugly. Jane had a history of violence throughout their marriage and also in previous relationships. They started arguing. Then it turned into name-calling, and eventually, Jane began throwing fists and smashing items around the house. She called the police and demanded that Michael leave because he was abusive, but the police sided with him and said that because there was no evidence, they couldn't ask him to leave his own home. His kids, unfortunately, were watching the whole time, refusing to go to bed while the police questioned Daddy. The police left and Michael put his distressed kids to bed. After they were asleep, he left for a friend's house and got severely drunk on whiskey. He returned the following day and demanded that Jane leave instead. She left for 20 hours while Michael took care of the kids, then returned the next night and locked herself in the bedroom. She communicated with Michael through text and he heard her crying through the door. She said the kids needed her and she couldn't abandon them. There was no way they could continue to live together with the violence. It wasn't healthy for the children to witness their parents like that. With his wife's refusal to leave, Michael knew it would have to be him. It wasn't an easy decision to make, and he prayed that it wouldn't bite him in the ass later. The worst thing would be for him to stay, and then get into another fight with Jane and have the police come again. They might not be so understanding the second time around and decide to arrest him for domestic violence. Moving out of the family home could result in him losing the house in the divorce. Still, it would be much worse for him to end up in jail, lose his future, lose his career, and lose the income needed to feed his kids, raise them well, and provide them with the best opportunities he could afford. He moved out and slept at the office while looking for an apartment near his kids' school. He continued to go to the house every morning to be there when they woke up and take them to school. And he returned again in the evening to put them to bed. He refused to be seen as an absentee father. Jane would have to make up evidence in court if she wanted to somehow prove that he was, whether or not he was staying in the marital home. Before Michael moved out, though, he did contact 2 lawyers and spoke to an old frat buddy lawyer who happened to work at the state attorney's office. They all told him that moving out wouldn't hurt his case in the divorce, but pulling all his finances away would. That would be considered abandonment. After serving Jane with divorce papers, Michael navigated a challenging legal process marked by Jane's resistance and attempts to contest terms. Despite the hurdles, Michael remained focused on securing a fair outcome, prioritizing his children's well-being. Throughout negotiations and court appearances, he maintained his composure and integrity, determined to provide a stable future for his family. Following the separation from Michael, Jane continued her relationship with Will and Esther. she immersed herself deeper into the swinger lifestyle they had explored together. Michael viewed Jane's continuation of the swinger lifestyle as a coping mechanism, a way for her to avoid confronting the harsh reality of their divorce and the consequences of her actions. Despite this, she remained a committed mother to their children whenever she had custody. They shared the kids 50-50, and Jane was pretty good at keeping her new swinger lifestyle separate from her duties as a mother. Michael focused on rebuilding his life and providing stability for himself and his children. He dedicated himself to his career, finding fulfillment and purpose in his work. With a renewed sense of independence, he embraced new opportunities for personal growth and pursued his passions with vigor. He was determined to create a brighter future for himself and his children. Thanks for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe. If you have any thoughts or opinions, please share them below, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye.